So our Chachamim, our sages in Pirkei Avot, they say, Al tadin et havercha ad shetagia limkomo, which means do not judge your fellow until you are sitting in his place. Meaning, we ought not to be judgmental when we see something and immediately judge somebody, criticize somebody, give an opinion, usually a negative one, because we really don't know the circumstances or the situation that that person was when he did or she did something that we criticized and we judged. And in fact, humans are very, very quick to judge people. We are always judgmental. But we ought to understand that when we do that, most of the time, I would say, we really don't know the circumstances that the person found themselves when we did that judgment. I mean, how often do we, when we speak about politics and about leaders, either political leaders, diplomatic leaders, rabbinical leaders, or any other leaders, we judge them right away and we criticize them, but we never sat in their seat, so to speak. And sometimes sitting in that seat of power can change a person, and the circumstances are completely different than what we see them from where we sit in. The parasha of this week, Parashat Shmini, but there's another parasha that maybe some of you don't know, it's Parashat Para. The Shabbat this week is called Shabbat Para, actually, based on the special parasha that we read almost 3 weeks before Pesach, before Passover. It is the third parasha on the list of 4 parashot that we read before Pesach. The first one, as you know, is Shekalim, that is read before Rosh Chodesh Adar. The second one is Zachor, that is read the Shabbat before Purim. The third one is Para, that is read the Shabbat before the Shabbat that we read Parashat HaChodesh. And next week, being that Rosh Chodesh is on Shabbat, we read Parashat HaChodesh, a special parasha announcing the month of Nisan, the head of the month, basically where the Jewish calendar really begins. So this Parashat Para, similar to Parashat Shmini, Parashat Shmini speaks about offering and sacrifices and the inauguration of the not the temple, but the tabernacle in the desert, with all kind of offerings. Parashat Para, interestingly enough, it's what is known as the red heifer. The red heifer chapter or paragraph that we read, a very, very enigmatic tradition, a tradition that our sages tell us that even King Solomon was not able to understand. Only Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, was able to understand that. King Solomon, the most intelligent and wise of all, was not able to understand. And that the practice is that you take a red heifer, completely red. The hair has to be completely reddish. If there is one or two actually non-reddish hairs, it disqualifies the red heifer. In fact, there has been already 10 red heifers throughout history, and there's supposed to be one more. And we always told that they discovered a red heifer in India or discovered a red heifer in Colorado or anywhere in the world, because according to some commentators, when you discover the last red heifer, we are very close to redemption. And so there's always this rush to immediately say, we found it. So that red heifer was slaughtered, was burned completely, the organs removed, burned completely, and the ashes were thrown upon an impure person, in a sense, a person who was defiled by a cadaver. Touched a cadaver, spiritually that person becomes impure. Interestingly enough, the Kohen that is going to sprinkle that ashes upon that person has to be pure, not defiled by anything else before. And yet, the moment he sprinkles those ashes upon the impure person, now the Kohen becomes impure immediately. And so, of course, the first question is, that seems to be completely contradictory. The person who's throwing the ashes becomes impure, The answer is we ought to understand it philosophically in that same vein. That person that is throwing those ashes might be very judgmental on the person who he's throwing the ashes on to purify. And why is that person impure? And what did the person do? And so the person immediately becomes impure to feel and understand where that person that he just purified was. But more than that, I think the message is that sometimes when we have to help somebody, we need to get dirty, so to speak. We need to go to battle. We need to, as they say, take off our jacket and start working, and not just trying to help somebody from the seat of our ivory tower. We need to go down, we need to get dirty, we need to work hard, and we need to do it. And I think that's one of those messages of this parasha. First, do not judge somebody else without being in their circumstance and their situation. And two, when you need to help somebody to improve their life, to purify themselves, so to speak, to advance in life, sometimes you need to go to work to do so. And don't just do it from the seat of your ivory tower. Shabbat shalom.